Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrecht and Tommy Kester.
Welcome, everybody, to Sports Daily. We are with you live on KFH. Jacob Albrecht, Tommy Kester here. We've got you till 11 o'clock. Glad to be here with you. Max Power in for Jad Chambers. He's manning that IHOP hotline, which is open for you the first part of this hour, and it's available at 869-1240. It's brought to you by IHOP, where you can celebrate the weekdays with the all-new IHOP House Faves. All your favorites, just $6 Monday through Friday. We have two guests coming up today. PJ Glasser, our betting insider, joins us at the bottom of this hour to take us through the weekend, see if he can polish up this turd of a Thursday night football game for us and give us a reason to bet it and watch it. We'll also have Tim Fitzgerald in top of next hour to get us ready for K-State. And, you know, what we've been describing is a very dangerous game this weekend on the road at West Virginia. So we'll get a look at both of those things with our guest today. You can leave us your comments as well on our video streams, Facebook, YouTube, X. You can ask questions to our guests that way. Always available to get those to you, and glad to do it. Tommy, good morning. How are you?
Happy Thursday. Good to see you today. Obviously not on the show yesterday. I trust that you and Savage had a good Hawaiian shirt Wednesday.
We did.
What I'm curious to know, though, is obviously we've got our buddy Max Power in this week for Jad Chambers. Was Max wearing a Hawaiian shirt? Was he partaking in the festivities on Wednesdays?
No, he was not, according to Mr. Savage. But to be fair, we didn't really give him a heads up.
Okay.
But
he's wearing tie-dye today. So, I mean, that's a whole other.
That's a whole other. That's another lane, man, that I'm not in. You know, I listen, I've donned plenty of hemp necklaces back in my day, but I've never been team tie-dye. Never been team long hair. I'm no hippie. But
ever play hacky sack? Are you a hacky sack guy?
Yeah, I was fine. I mean, it was around, and I guess I pretended like it was cool when it very obviously wasn't. But yeah, that's like that's in our generation.
100%.
You know, baggy, surfboard shorts and puka shell necklace, all that stuff like that. That was on the wheel. It's funny. And I know you've been trying to avoid this. We had a revelation, and somebody asked us about it yesterday. Last week, I asked the gang, and I'd be curious, and you probably do know now, that there's apparently a symbol that shows up on shirts, and it's been showing up on one of my Hawaiian shirts that I've been wearing for a good 3 years, unknown to myself, that I have been putting the vibe out there of the upside down pineapple. Now, were you aware of what that particular symbolism is for before I hinted at the discussion Paul and I had last week?
I've heard rumblings. I've heard rumors. I've never been in a situation to verify that for myself.
Yeah.
But I've heard those rumors. I would love it if you enlighten me, because clearly Yeah,
it means you're down to swing is what it means. Apparently, I did not know that. And again, I've been wearing that shirt for a long time, and I don't know. There's a lot of things that come into play as I recall the history of that particular Hawaiian shirt. When I it's one of my two main Hawaiians, and in the summertime, this, like most days I'm in a Hawaiian, right? Like I put that's not just a Wednesday on this show thing. And I think back, okay, well, I've been wearing this forever. So how many people do know that symbolism? How many people did I think, oh, they're really nice? When there may be ulterior motives.
That's not even the biggest question. I mean, you've asked a bunch
of. My sister-in-law got me that shirt, just FYI.
The most important question is, are you?
No, I'm not. No way. I'm like Jerry on that Seinfeld episode. Like I can't. I don't want to be that guy. I can't be that guy. Like that's a great episode of Seinfeld, by the way. No, absolutely not. And I have.
You are. This is a judgment-free zone. We don't pass judgment here.
I was just going to say, I have known people who are active in that world and in that game, and it is wild, man. Like it is wild to have conversations with them about that game. But no, that's not me. But I've been putting that out there.
Man, look, I'm just telling you, you've got an ally in me. This is a safe space. If you ever need to talk about anything about that,
I'm not that cool.
Like you can be yourself. It's okay. Own it. Be proud of it.
Yeah, I own everything, but that ain't it for me. But
Okay.
I've been throwing that vibe out there, and so there was, man, not to go down this rabbit hole. I have known people in that lane. They're great people, right? Like it's not weird or whatever but the conversations can get real weird when you ask them stories. But there was, I was probably, I don't know, 22, 23 years old, maybe even a little older, in the early 20s. And I had one of my best friends was getting married, and it was an out of town wedding. It was in San Diego, and we were there an extra day, and I didn't know anybody. And another one of our buddies that was there, like had a random knew somebody from there. And so that night we went out bar hopping with them. Well, it was like a pub crawl, and it was, you wore a wig. It was like that was the shtick. You had to wear a wig to go on this pub crawl in downtown San Diego. And I'll tell you that, like, these are some of the prettiest people I've ever been around, and they're all wildly successful. These are like, NASA scientists and doctors. And I'm like, God, I am out of my league here. Well, one of them thought it would be very funny and early in the night to convince me that they were all swingers, and they were not, but they like laid that out there. And so the whole night I'm just like a little uncomfortable. I'm like, these people are nice, but like, what do I do? Like, what do I do if they ever? And then eventually at the end of the night, after we'd all had a lot to drink, they were all laughing, and they got me. They definitely weren't, but they fooled me. And then later in life, I actually did meet. I have known some people that are in that game, and they're great people, but yeah, it's not for me. No, I'm not that. I'm not that cool.
I think here's the only thing that is, I don't even want to say concerning, because you are who you are, and be proud of it and own it, and that's okay. You've had far more interactions with either swingers or potential swingers than I've had zero.
You've never been around open. Like,
so to me, the conclusion I draw is where there's smoke, there's fire. And
because I'm wearing that shirt.
you're wearing the shirt, you're owning it, and you've had multiple interactions.
To be fair, none of those interactions or relationships, those were all pre-shirt. Like, those were all just, associations or whatever. Listen, do your thing, man. But I guess I've been throwing that out there. Now I have a decision to make, because that's one of my favorite Hawaiians. I just keep rolling with it? Probably. I mean, probably I will. But now I'll know, like, if I get that weird look, like, I guess it's big on the cruise line. Like, that's a big thing in the cruise world, I've read, because as soon as somebody tells me, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you got to be kidding me. And I look it up, and it's like the first thing when you search it. And I'm like,
you've clearly done your research. You may be the preeminent scholar in swinging in the Wichita area.
Yeah. That's, I know about that symbol.
For a good time, hit you up. I'd be shocked if your phone number wasn't on some bathroom stalls.
Probably so, for whatever reason. All right. Anywho, we got fun stuff coming up on the show today. I want to talk about, I want to get back into the Chiefs and the trades. We have, the trades happened a few days ago. There have been some fallout that creates rumblings of, like, what do the Chiefs do or not do? Should they? Will they? I think are two very different questions. So I do want to get into that a little bit as we make our way through here, because the competition has made themselves better, and it gets into the thought of, like, okay, yeah, the Chiefs are 5-0. Do they really need to do anything, or is that a deceptive 5-0? So I want to get into that, and we will in our next segment before we bring in PJ Glasser. So that's definitely on the brain today. There's, of course, baseball on the brain, championship baseball. What if we get Dodgers Yankees? Like, I know people like to talk about ratings with baseball, and I think that's a little bit foolish sometimes, because baseball is a very much like localized. If your team's in, you're all in. If you're not, you might be. Yankees Dodgers would probably set records. What does that even mean? I don't even think that really matters too much, but it would be something if that ended up being the World Series. Speaking of those trades for wide receivers, Davante Adams' hamstring got better real quick. Just pretty fun, which is pretty funny. So there's a lot of stuff out there.
He was clearly on the Aaron Rodgers rehab plan. He was, He went and had some darkness retreats for a couple of days.
Yep. That sounds about right. Austin asks us, how in the world are Chiefs underdogs in this game? I would ask you, Austin, on the road, should they not be? I would be surprised if they were favorites on the road against San Francisco. I would be. We'll ask PJ Glasser about that, see if he's got an angle on that and likes it. It's a really interesting game, and we haven't really previewed it, and we'll do some of that in the second hour. I would tell you that I can see the Chiefs winning this game for sure. I could also see the 49ers winning this game big, but probably not coming out of a bye week for the Chiefs. But they're underdogs because they're underdogs. They're underdogs because they're on the road, and San Francisco's gotten a little bit healthier, and that's the line. Right, it is right where I thought it would be. But we'll ask PJ Glasser about that later in this hour. It's a good question from.
By the way, do you remember the way that Patrick Mahomes typically plays when he's an underdog? I mean, he's 10-3.
No, I like I say, I'm not. I would not bet, and that's what Austin points out right after. I would not bet it, but I could see, just based on about a billion factors, revenge, the injuries to the Chiefs. The problem for the Niners is they're coming off of a bye, right? And they really looked good on offense in the last game that they played. They could make Brock Purdy's day hell. They could. They absolutely could. So I don't really know how to attack that game yet. I haven't made up my mind, but we'll get PJ Glasser's take on it.
We're not even talking about Patrick Mahomes covering the spread as an underdog, where he's, right, I think, like 11-1-1 or something. We're talking about straight up like winning a game. When they're the underdog, that he's 10-3, which is incredible.
Yep. It in history matters in betting, and we know that. The Niners are desperate, certainly more desperate than the Chiefs are. We'll get into all of it. When we come back, though, I want to get into this wide receiver market. We're 2-ish weeks away from the trade deadline, and it's more about, I think, preventative measures for the Chiefs, but we'll dig in a little further on that. It is sort of the topic of the hour with the Chiefs, and they're making calls, but will they pull the trigger? 869-1240 is the IHOP hotline. I want to say thank you to Prairie Fire Coffee for keeping us fueled up each and every morning here on KFH. We'll come back. More Sports Daily. Chiefs in the wide receiver position. Will they do something? Should they do something? How big will or should they swing? We'll discuss next on Sports Daily.
A mourning widow sells her husband's car trying to move on, but the checks came back in his name.
How do they expect him to cash this check?
Looking for answers, fact finder Brandon Stitt went to the Department of Revenue. A proposed energy plant that threatens Kansas landowners, meaning some families could lose their homes.
My land is not for sale. Others' land is not for sale. Our lifestyle is not for sale.
12 News took their concerns to Senators Marshall and Moran. When you need answers, turn to the fact finders for help. Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
Welcome back into Sports Daily. This portion of the program brought to you by Crestview Country Club. 36 holes of golf, all the fun you could have. Restaurant, bar, kids' activities, the kids' programs off the charts. A lot of tennis out there at Crestview. Tommy and I, both members, our families love it. We think you will too. Lots of different membership packages. Give them a call. Go check out the facilities. Tell them we sent you here from Sports Daily. Welcome back into Sports Daily. Jake Ballbrock, Tommy Castor, Max Power producing. He's got the IHOP hotline at 869-1240. The Chiefs have not done anything yet at the trade deadline. I think that's unfair to say they have not done anything because they have brought back in Juju Smith-Schuster. They did things before. We saw Juju have his best game since he's been a Chief in his last game with the Chiefs. And I wonder if that's enough, Tommy. And I think two questions come into play. Is it enough? It might be right now, but what if he gets hurt? You know, I think that has to be a factor that we think about too. And I think it's one where if you ask me if I think the Chiefs should trade for a wide receiver, I would tell you I think that they should. I still don't know if I think that they will. Those are two different questions for me with two different answers. I don't know. But I do think they should, because if they lose Juju now, they'd be in a real tight spot.
I don't think they will. Then the longer that this kind of drags on, I really don't think that they will. If they were going to, in my opinion, it would have happened as soon as the news broke last week that Rashee Rice was done for the entire year. Because I know there was a sliver of hope that maybe he wouldn't be, but obviously that was extinguished when he had surgery last week. They probably would have pounced on something to try to get ahead of the market at that point, and they didn't do that. I read a really, really interesting article that was put out after Amari Cooper was traded and, to the Jets and of course, to the Bills, and Devontae Adams was traded to the Jets. This article in the New York Times broke down the success rate of wide receivers that have been traded in season over the last 10 years. it's rarely a success story.
Yeah.
In fact, there's one receiver that is the outlier, and that's Amari Cooper when he was traded to Dallas in 2018. That's it.
It'll work for Devontae Adams too.
Yeah, but overall, by and large, especially when teams are giving up draft picks that are in the first 3 rounds, not only does it not usually work long term, because more often than not those players are considered rentals. They might be on expiring deals, but it usually doesn't make a big impact that season when they bring them in.
How often does it even happen though? Because
a lot. In fact, according to this article from the New York Times, there have been, let me find this here. There have been 29 in-season acquisitions when picks in the first 3 rounds were traded. That's over the last 10 years.
And this is at wide receiver?
No. Overall, when there have been picks in the first 3 rounds traded, there have been 29 in-season acquisitions over the last 10 years. So about 3 per year. 10 of those have been wide receivers. No other position had more than 6 players acquired at those prices. So it's disproportionate that wide receivers are the ones being traded for in season when you've got a top 3 pick that's being dealt in return for that receiver.
Right.
So it happens a lot comparative to other positions in season when teams are trying to acquire players.
I look at, there's so many angles here. The market is now set through the Cooper and Devontae Adams trades. And I think it's actually more fortuitous to the Chiefs that it has been set. I don't know that there's anybody out there that will move now that will be as expensive as those 2 players. And that includes the guy CBS Sports this morning targets and says the Chiefs should trade for, who I like, and I think you like, Deontay Johnson as a player and a perfect fit. He would not cost you the same, because he's on an expiring contract. Well, that's pretty much the reason, is he's on an expiring contract. So he's not going to cost you what those guys cost you. And he's 28 years old. So, now you're looking at, would you give up a 4th, maybe a 3rd for a guy as a rental there? I think you look at a player like him, a couple of different angles. Could you get him on could you re-sign him to a 2-year deal if he came in? Because I think what the problem the Chiefs have is the Rashee Rice injury isn't just this year. We know that he's going to miss games next year too. And so then you have to look at it that way. Are they going to draft another 1st-round wide receiver? Like what do they do next year when Rice is suspended for what you got to assume is at least half the season? I think that plays into it. The other thing for this year is, and I really do think if you could promise me that they would have the group they have right now and let it ride all the way through without injury, I would tell you I don't think they need to make a move. The problem is I think that's highly unlikely. It's week 6, or is it week 7? Whatever it is. It's week 7, right? The Chiefs have played 5 games, and they're already down 3 of their top 4 offensive weapons. I think it's unlikely that they make it through the rest of the way without another one of these pass catchers getting hurt.
Hey, you're right. And I don't disagree with you in that regard. I think it's unlikely that Brett Veach jumps because of a hypothetical. That's not his MO.
But it's not just a hypothetical. It's a chess move, because you've got the factor of, are we good enough now? B, the factor of, what do we do when Rice is gone next year for his suspension? And C, the injury. Well, the first 2 are not a hypothetical. The first 2 is we don't have enough depth now, and do we need to still be better at that position?
The hypothetical at the very start of this segment, that you said of, can Juju Smith-Schuster get through the season without being injured? That's a hypothetical. And so I don't think that you go and you give up draft capital or whatever to acquire somebody based on a hypothetical.
I don't think depth is a hypothetical. Like, they still need depth.
Like, Veach is going to tell you, and I'm not telling you that this is the right or wrong approach, just telling you the way that it probably is. Veach is going to say, we can get depth without giving anything up. Like, we've got practice squad. We can go sign somebody, put them on the practice squad, and get depth that way. Is that ideal? Probably not. Can those guys be impact players? Probably not. I think it's really important to temper expectations and to temper excitement potentially on bringing in, a high profile or, a flashy type trade. I just don't think that that's really what Brett Veach will do. And going back,
I don't
to
think it
this,
has to be flashy. By the way, I think
I'm just
they
saying
could make a
anything.
move without it being
look,
flashy.
in my opinion, if a trade happens, get ready for Demarcus Robinson to come back to Kansas
That's
City.
great. I would love that. By the
That's
way,
fine. But that's he knows the system, and that's what they're gonna do. That's what they're gonna say. I texted this to you the other day, kind of tongue in
absolutely
cheek.
not. No,
Marquez Valdez-Scantling is on the market.
No.
When Cooper went to the Bills. I'm just telling you the way that it is. I don't think it's the right move either. But that's the sort of thing that I think that everybody ought to at least understand is probably the more likely.
I get
Brett Veach and even Andy Reid than them going out and trading for a Deontay Johnson or somebody like that.
If MVS wasn't on the contract he was on, he probably would have been cut. He was not good at all, and helps them in no way right now. Like, him coming in doesn't help you at all. He can't fill in for Juju Smith-Schuster if he gets hurt. Like, that's not what he does.
But here's the other thing, and you talked about how a couple of those situations that you mentioned are not hypotheticals. Here's another non-hypothetical for you that has been going on for a long time, and the Chiefs have been resistant to move on it. Sky Moore is terrible.
Yeah.
Sky Moore is awful. You could have made a trade even before Hollywood Brown went down, or Rashee Rice went down, or anybody, to get Sky Moore off your roster and to bring in somebody else. Like, that could have happened. The Chiefs have been resistant to that. They didn't do that. So I just don't think that they're going to do anything that would get anybody really excited about a new acquisition.
Yeah, but I see Demarcus Robinson would get me excited, and I think be really smart. Listen, Deontay Johnson, if they can get him on a 2-year deal, is a stud and a perfect fit. That's why I keep bringing him up. I just don't know if you can't get next year out of him, then it doesn't make as much, unless you can get him for a 4th round pick. And then at that point, great. Here's another name that hasn't been mentioned that I think is really interesting. He plays for the same team. A guy like Adam Thielen. And I know he's got a bum hamstring right now, but you want to talk about somebody who probably can pick things up quickly, but could be a possession guy if something happened.
He's a volume guy. He's a volume guy.
And that's what they need, their volume guy. They need their volume guy, because that's the role Juju is filling for Rashee Rice. That's the position of need. To me, that's where they need to target. Who can be a volume guy? Of all the players that are out there potentially, who could come in and be a volume guy if you had to have it? And I think that's why it's probably unlikely that we see some massive splash trade, because those are typically guys that aren't available, right? Devontae Adams has been a volume guy over his career. The Chiefs weren't going to get Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
So what volume guys might be available? And here's the other reality. It may take 2 weeks for teams to realize they're out of it before those players even become available.
Yeah. I'm going to run through really quickly this list of the 10 receivers over the last 10 seasons that have been traded for picks in the first 3 rounds in season. And outside of Amari Cooper twice and Devontae Adams this year, there are some really underwhelming names on this list. Chase Claypool to the Bears, Mohamed Sanu to the Patriots, Calvin Ridley to the Jags, Kadarius Toney to the Chiefs, Emmanuel Sanders to the 49ers, Golden Tate to the Eagles, and Kelvin Benjamin to the Panthers. That's not a long track record of success outside of the outlier, which is Amari Cooper. And Devontae Adams should be fine, but we don't know that yet.
Yeah, he'll be fine. It's interesting that because you keep saying Brett Veach doesn't have any history of this. He does. He did it for Kadarius Toney.
He did. I don't think he'll do it again.
No, I don't think he'll do that kind of move. That was a high risk move, and I don't think they need to make a high risk move by any means. That's not what I'm advocating for.
Excited, I'm sure at the time, the teams that they were going to, a couple of them, I think Claypool probably was one that you're kind of okay, he showed some promise with the Steelers before he was traded, and Calvin Ridley maybe a little bit.
Ridley probably would be the one of all of those players where at the time you're like, yeah, okay, that one's going to be great. And he did have a good year, and then he had all those weird things happen. But yeah, no, again, none of those are to the capacity outside of Cooper what Adams and Cooper again will be. Those are premier wide receivers, and I think they're both going to be fine. Cooper will acclimate probably a little more slowly. Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers can go play street ball. that would be like reuniting Travis Kelce to Patrick Mahomes. Like, it doesn't matter what else happens on offense. Like, those dudes are just going to go out there and play street ball. It's more to me about, and this takes us into, and we'll get PJ Glasser's take on this spread. Let's pause there, because that's what it takes into the 5-0 record for the Chiefs. How sustainable and how real is it, if we're being honest, with the injuries? I think that's probably why we have some. People wondering about this line. But we're going to ask PJ Glasser about it next. What does he think about the Chiefs as underdogs here? Our betting insider joins the program next. Again, I use the same analogy. How can he polish up this Thursday night football turd for us and give us a reason to watch it with some bets? We'll get his takes there on all the weekend games, plus K-State this weekend in a tough road game. PJ Glasser joins the program when Sports Daily returns.
A mourning widow sells her husband's car trying to move on, but the checks came back in his name.
How do they expect him to cash this check?
Looking for answers, fact finder Brandon Stitt went to the Department of Revenue. A proposed energy plan that threatens Kansas landowners, meaning some families could lose their homes.
My land is not for sale. Others' land is not for sale. Our lifestyle is not for sale.
12 News took their concerns to Senators Marshall and Moran. When you need answers, turn to the fact finders for help. Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into the jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want. Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
Welcome back in, everybody. Glad to be here with you on the program. We are coming to you live on KFH, of course, on our video stream, 12 News Connected. And we are glad to be joined right now by our betting insider, PJ Glasser, on the line, the host of Send It In and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, PJ Glasser. Insider calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Also, be sure to listen to the Send It In podcast for more analysis. Just search Send It In wherever you find your podcast. PJ, welcome in. We've got Thursday Night Football tonight, but we've got a lot of other things to talk about. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good, guys. Great to see you. Yeah, a lot going on this weekend. Monster college slate, monster NFL slate too. So it's going to be a great weekend of football.
We do have to talk about, just because we're fishing for a reason to go into any game with the Saints and the Broncos. Now a game that it looks like Chris Olave is not going to play. It looks like Patrick Surtain is out. Like, what on earth can we do with this one? Is there anything you love in this game?
Not really, especially now that the line's at 3. Like, I was leaning towards Denver, but you can't bet the Broncos at -3. You can't bet Bo Nix is a road favorite at this number. The Saints injury report is like a CVS receipt, guys. It is so long. They got like 17 guys on the injury report. And look, Spencer Rattler's making his second career start on a short week, going up against one of the best defenses in the NFL, who are going to be without their best player in Patrick Surtain, the corner. So it's just a tough game, right? You got the revenge a little bit as well with Sean Payton going up against his former team in the Saints. So maybe want to stick it to them a little bit as well. I kind of like the Saints in a teaser. You know, I think we have a lot of great options this week for teasers in the NFL. Obviously, with all of the favorites that won last week, you think the underdogs, especially the home dogs, are going to be much better this week. I think we get some much closer results as well. So with the low total like this, two quarterbacks that you don't feel like really are going to light up the scoreboard very much, I think Saints +9 in a teaser, parlaying that with some other game on the board, probably the way I would go.
Let's move away from that game because I literally don't care at all about the Broncos and the Saints. Let's talk about college football. PJ, you mentioned a monster slate of games this weekend, and that's the truth. We'll start with the number 1 team in the country, Texas, at home against Georgia. The Longhorns, they solidified why they are the best team in the country with their performance in the Red River rivalry against Oklahoma last week, putting it on the Sooners. And honestly, PJ, I think for me, coming away from that game, although Texas scored a lot of points, for me, it was more impressive what they did defensively. It's going to be a little bit of a different challenge taking on Kirby Smart's Bulldogs this weekend, although the game is at home for Texas. What do you like in this game? For me, I kind of think the under is maybe where I'm going to play it just because I've been so impressed with the way Texas has played defense.
Guys, it's a tough game to handicap just because we really don't know how good Texas is, right? Like, obviously, the eye test, what they've been doing to their opponents has been really impressive. But, their best 2 wins are against Michigan and Oklahoma, and neither of those teams can throw the ball. I mean, Michigan, the 2 quarterbacks that they had playing in that game, Davis Warren and Alex Orji, are benched. Now it's Seth Tuttle that's starting for Michigan this week against Illinois. And then Oklahoma, their top 5 receivers were out on Saturday. Their offensive line's banged up. Their quarterback was making his 2nd career start. So Texas, the defense is very good. They might have the best offensive line in college football. They got skill position weapons. Ewers is back. Sark's maybe the best play caller in the sport. So there's a lot of reason why people like Texas in this game. Guys, it's just like, how do you not take Georgia as underdogs, right? Not only are we getting them as underdogs, we're getting them at 4.5, right? A team that's battle-tested. They played Clemson. They played Bama. They played Kentucky. First time in 50 games that Georgia has been an underdog. I know we're going to talk about Chiefs-Niners here in a little bit. You guys know how great Mahomes is as an underdog. Saban historically is great as an underdog. When you get teams and players that aren't used to playing the underdog card and can lean on that a little bit, you normally get a really good performance out of them. So I know this Georgia team isn't as good as they've been in years past, but those teams were so good that I think we're underestimating that this Georgia team is still good and still good enough to win this game in Austin. So huge game for Georgia too, guys, right? If they lose, they got 2 losses and they still have to play Tennessee and Ole Miss this season, might be in danger of missing the college football playoff. So this is one of those games. I feel really confident in the fact that I know Georgia's going to play well. I know Kirby's going to have his guys ready. I would expect Texas to look good too, but we're getting 4.5 points with Georgia. I'll take the Bulldogs.
We've got Kansas back in action. We've got Kansas State. Definitely want to hit on those two. Let's start with the Jayhawks because they play first. 5.5 point favorites at home. It seems, for people that have watched Kansas this year, it just seems crazy to pick them to win a game at all the way they blow at the end. Houston's the most winnable game they have left on the schedule. Are you comfortable with a team who has struggled so mightily at the end of a game to put a team away, laying that kind of number, even if it is against Houston?
Yeah, I would actually like it with Kansas this week, guys. I think Houston's the only team in college football this year that is perfect to the under. So they really struggle to score. Their defense has been pretty solid this season, but Jacob, you mentioned it. Like, Kansas has been in a lot of close games. They just haven't found ways to win them, but I don't think they're going to be in a close game this week against Houston. I think this is going to be like a 2-score, double-digit kind of win for the Jayhawks. So this is a get-right game for them this week. Like you said, if they can't take care of Houston, it's going to be tough for them down the stretch. So I think anything under 7 is a good bet with the Jayhawks this week. Again, Houston's been really good to the under this season, so maybe just keep betting the under. It feels like a 24-10 kind of game for me. So I like Kansas minus 5.5.
A week ago, PJ, the Wildcats went to Boulder to take on Coach Prime and the Buffaloes. The line was incredible. I mean, I think it ended at 3.5, somewhere around there. Colorado covered it. The Wildcats win by 3. Of course, Kansas State going the other direction this weekend to Morgantown to take on West Virginia. This Mountaineers team is interesting because they've been lurking around and there's been a lot of pressure on Neil Brown and the program to have a really strong season. They've been up and down. There's an opportunity here, and I said it earlier this week, that if Kansas State isn't careful, it could be a trappy type game because they had to get up so high for Colorado last weekend. What do you like in this matchup in Morgantown this weekend?
Yeah, no doubt. Guys, K-State's road schedule has been brutal, right? I mean, they had that road game against BYU in Provo. Then they had the game in Boulder last week. Now they got to go back and play another night game against West Virginia as well. Same spread as last week with Iowa State and West Virginia. So basically what the sports books are telling you are that Iowa State and Kansas State are comparable teams. I think at this point in time, I like Iowa State a little bit better, and I like their matchup a little bit better against West Virginia because the way you attack West Virginia is their secondary. Their run defense is pretty stout, but their secondary is gettable, and Iowa State was able to make some explosive plays. We know if there's an area that Avery Johnson and K-State struggles with, it's throwing the ball, especially down the field. Now, credit to him. He did make that great pass to win the game for Kansas State late against Colorado. But consistently, can he do that again this week? West Virginia gets another ranked team in their place at night. You're getting a +3 with them. I think West Virginia is the play in this game. It's brutal for Kansas State to get two tough games like this back-to-back on the road and at night. You normally don't see that a lot in college football. So I'll go with West Virginia. I'll run it back with them this week at the +3. I like betting against them with teams that can really throw the ball, and I just don't trust Kansas State's passing attack enough to do that.
All right. Before we switch over to the NFL, PJ, what are some of your favorite college bets?
Yeah, so two other plays that I really like this week, guys. I love Arkansas. I'd take them outright against LSU. You don't even need the points in that game. Just a terrible spot for LSU. Coming off an emotional win against Ole Miss. Crowd storms the field. Overtime win. Their next two games after the Hogs, they're at A&M and home against Alabama. So this is the stretch in their schedule where they got big game after big game. Arkansas, meanwhile, is coming off a bye. They're fresh. Remember, they beat Tennessee at home a couple weeks ago, and Arkansas very easily could be undefeated. They blew a game against Oklahoma State earlier in the year. They were right there with Texas A&M. So Sam Pittman's done a great job with Arkansas. I really don't think these teams are very like the talent gap is all that wide. Like Arkansas is gonna hang with LSU. Their defense has been good. So I like Arkansas to win outright. And then ugly dog I like this week, guys. Give me Maryland +7.5 against USC. Last week we were talking about the Big Ten and how these teams that have to travel through 2 or more time zones has been really difficult for them to endure. Well, USC now has to go from LA to College Park off that tough loss to Penn State where they had a 2-score lead, blow it in overtime, and they're going up against Maryland, who lost by 20 at home to Northwestern last week. Guys, you know I live in the area. A lot of people want Maryland's head coach, Mike Locksley, fired. It feels like this is the game that he absolutely has to win. Like his only chance to keep his job is to beat a marquee school like USC. So the Terps are playing for their season. They're playing for their coach. USC reeling off a tough home loss to Penn State, flying across the country. I like the Terps +7.5.
PJ, let's get into the game of the week in the NFL, the Chiefs and the Niners. It's a Super Bowl rematch. Kansas City heading to Santa Clara for this matchup on Sunday afternoon. I'm just going to pose the question that our listener, Austin, had at the very beginning of the show. How in the world are the Chiefs still underdogs in this game?
It's a good question, Austin, because I really don't understand, right? I like the Chiefs in this game, guys. I really do. Two main reasons. It's really all about trends. One, Andy Reid in his career with the Chiefs and the Eagles off of a bye straight up is 21-3. Now he's 11-9 against the spread, but again, this line's 1.5. So really, you like the Chiefs to win the game if you're picking the Chiefs. 21-3 straight up, guys, off of a bye. Mahomes is 11-1-1 against the spread. He's 10-3 straight up as an underdog as well. So you're getting Mahomes as a dog. You're getting Andy Reid off a bye. I know the Niners want revenge from the Super Bowl, but they're still going to be without McCaffrey. They've been up and down this season. I just like the Chiefs. As you guys know, the Chiefs have not played their best football by any means yet this season, and they continue to win games. So off of a bye, you have some time to kind of work around this Rashee Rice injury a little bit, figure out your offense. I think the Chiefs are motivated to like put a good performance together, knowing that they're going up against one of the best teams in the NFL in San Francisco. So I like the Chiefs. I like the under in the game too at 47. Anytime we get a total over like 45 in a Chiefs game, I'm probably going to bet the under. As you guys know, Kansas City hasn't allowed more than 28 points in a game since the Super Bowl against the Eagles back in 2022. We talk so much about Mahomes and Andy Reid, but what Spags has done with that defense over the last couple of years, nobody just lights them up. So it's going to be like a 24-20 kind of game. Chiefs just find ways to win those kind of games. I'll take Kansas City.
Yeah, I like both of those as well. For suckers like me, PJ, who need to fill out the parlay and take advantage of all the boosters, who else do I need to sneak in there?
Like the Steelers this week, guys, against the Jets. For me, it's just kind of the perception around these two teams right now, right? Like the Jets obviously make the trade for Devontae Adams. So now everybody's kind of excited about the Jets making the move we all thought they would make, kind of save their season. Steelers, meanwhile, it looks like they're going to Russell Wilson when they should be sticking to Justin Fields. So nobody wants to bet the Steelers right now with Russ. people are excited to bet the Jets because of Devontae Adams, but the Jets just keep finding ways to lose these close games. And we're also getting Mike Tomlin as a home underdog, guys. He's 19-6-3 ATS as a home dog. As a Ravens fan, I can tell you, when the Steelers are home dogs, they're really tough to beat. That's a tough place to play at night. They already lost to Dallas on Sunday night this year in a home primetime spot. I don't know if they're going to lose again. So I like the Steelers this week against the Jets. And then I like Minnesota, guys, against the Lions. Another really good game this week. It feels like we all keep waiting for like Minnesota to turn into the team that a lot of us thought they would be coming into the season, when we just can't accept that they're really, really good. And they're coming off a bye. And Detroit right now is viewed upon as really good because they blew out Dallas. That Aiden Hutchinson injury, though, guys, is a huge deal. The Lions have 69 quarterback pressures this season. Hutchinson has accounted for 45 of those. You take him off the field against O'Connell, Darnold, and that offense, and the way that Minnesota's defense has played this year, I like the Vikings at home.
Yep, I'm with you on the Vikes. I think what a bunch of good games. Your Ravens and the Bucks. That's a great game. This might be the best collective week of the NFL. PJ, we appreciate it. Thank you as always for all your insight there, and we'll do it again next week.
Anytime, guys. Talk to you next week.
That's the host of Send It In, an Odyssey Sports betting insider, PJ Glasser. Insider Calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. That's it for hour number 1. When we come back, we will get into the second hour and kick it off with Tim Fitzgerald. GoPowerCat.com. What does he think about this long trip to Morgantown? He's made a bunch of them. Is this a trouble spot for the Cats? We'll get that next on Sports Daily.
A mourning widow sells her husband's car trying to move on, but the checks came back in his name.
How do they expect him to cash this check?
Looking for answers, fact finder Brandon Stitt went to the Department of Revenue. A proposed energy plan that threatens Kansas landowners, meaning some families could lose their homes.
My land is not for sale. Others' land is not for sale. Our lifestyle is not for sale.
12 News took their concerns to Senators Marshall and Moran. When you need answers, turn to the fact finders for help. Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just
right
search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want. Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester.
Hey, welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily. It is Albrocht and Caster. Max Power in producing for us this week as we get you ready for hour number 2. And on a Thursday, that means our K-State insider, Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com. We bring in Fitz. We always love to come to you with our cultural needs as well as our K-State needs. You don't know anything about this, but I have to know because it is something that we've been talking about probably more than we should. Do you know what an upside down pineapple represents?
Yes.
How did I miss this? So I've learned. So we have Hawaiian Shirt Wednesdays here on the program, as I think you know. And I learned on a recent trip back home by somebody, one of my favorite Hawaiians is loaded with them. And I had no idea what that implied.
You were really popular that day.
I think so. I was like, man, everybody's being so nice to me.
Hey, you want to meet my wife?
I've been wearing that shirt for like 3-4 years, like at least once a week in the summertime. Had no idea. And I figured if anybody knew what that meant, it would be you.
By the way, you know how like peacocks, when they spread their feathers out, they're presenting.
Yeah.
Clearly you've been presenting for a few
so.
years.
I guess so. I didn't even know. But hey, we'll see. All right, Fitz. K-State. I don't know how else to describe this. This game terrifies me. I don't like. It's not. I was excited about the Colorado game. I was really getting hyped up for it. I'm not excited about this game at all. Like not even a little bit. This game has trap written all over it. The hope is that K-State knows that. The hope is that, they can't let that sneak up on them. And I don't think they'll mean to, but man, the late night in Colorado, all the injuries sustained in that game, having to go the other direction now, and Kansas looming next week. Like it checks all the boxes.
Yeah, it does. And this was the game I picked at the start of the season to be the linchpin game, because I feel like sandwiched between what was going to be and was a really emotional, hard-hitting game at Colorado and you got Kansas on the other side, which I'm going to recognize is diminished in stature a little bit this year, but it's still Kansas. They're still good, and it's still a rivalry. And you got West Virginia on the road, right in the middle of those two. It's been the game that I think will decide what K-State's fate is this season. If they go and lose this one, they're going to lose 3 or 4 games. I fear they'll lose maybe 3. And if they win, guys, they can just go take care of business until they go to Iowa State. You know, you can lose any game in this conference. We know that, but you got 3 games at home in there and a road game at Houston before you go to Iowa State. So this game opens up great possibilities for K-State, or it slams the door shut.
There were so many takeaways from the Colorado game. The one that sticks out to me almost a week after that game that I'm still thinking about and really figuring out what it means for this team, you know, for the rest of the season, is that DJ Giddens might be the best running back in the Big 12. He probably is the best running back in the Big 12 and has solidified himself, I think, in that regard. Just, you know, incredibly effective, and his production, you know, continues to increase with this team. And so offensively, when you've got all of these weapons and you've got all these different things in the way that, you know, they want to run this offense with Avery Johnson at the helm, having a, you know, Mr. Reliable, consistent ground threat in DJ Giddens, that's paramount for the Wildcats, especially as they get into the second half of the season.
Well, DJ Giddens has taken a huge step this season. He's gone from a guy when he first started out that, you know, was going to fall forward, you know, take on tackles, fearless, to having some moves, you know, being able to throw a spin move in. At Colorado, he earned every yard. I mean, he would pop through the line and there'd be a tackler, and that tackler, let's just use the name Shiloh, would end up on his knees praying that he could possibly touch DJ Giddens. His ability to make tacklers miss in that game was unbelievable. And then he'd add in, I'm going to run your butt over. He's turned into a really special running back. And I said this earlier this week on one of my daily delivery videos. He's going to go down as one of the great running backs at Kansas State. And who would have thunk that a year ago? I mean, 2 seasons ago, certainly not. A year ago, maybe, but this year he's made it very clear. He's among the best at K-State, and that's incredible. He's a self-made back, and I just love him for it.
Yeah, and he doesn't look like what you think he's going to look like either. And you know he'll be a big part of this game. What have you scouted on West Virginia? We know, or at least it's appeared to me for a while, Kansas State wants to play teams that throw the ball, and they're willing to let them throw the ball. And they want to create sack and turnover opportunities for the defense. Is West Virginia going to do that, or is West Virginia going to do what they should and try to run the ball first against K-State?
Yeah, that they're a run-first team. Garrett Green's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the Big 12, not because his skill set's elite, but his heart is. He fights, he scraps. He is not a bad thrower, but by Big 12 standards, he's below average comparing to the other quarterbacks in this league. So I expect him to get out and scoot around quite a bit. The one thing Kansas State really hasn't faced this year in this run of trying to force teams to throw is a true running threat at quarterback, and he brings that. So that's a whole different dimension for K-State to take on. But this could be a quick game. Both teams are going to want to run.
Let's talk about the Wildcat defense a little bit, Fitz. In the game against Colorado, the pass rush was clearly the leader when it came to what they wanted to do defensively. I mean, you know, and some of that is on Shedeur Sanders. Sanders is so dynamic that, you know, when they were able to make him uncomfortable, that was when they had the best success. When we look at the secondary, though, for the Wildcats, you know, Sanders put up some good numbers when he had time to pass against Kansas State. Is that indicative of anything moving forward with the secondary that needs to be improved upon? Or is that more of the fact that Shedeur Sanders is just a great quarterback?
Well, yeah, that was a big part of it. He was really special. He was constantly being harassed and still completing passes. He's better than I ever imagined, to be honest. And there's some holes in the secondary. There's no doubt about that. They're not as good in zone coverage. You can see it. First of all, I hate zone coverage. particularly when guys are protecting an area of grass and not the receiver standing 3 feet away from them, which is pretty common when you see that in zone coverage. And they have some, questions in the secondary now. Who's all going to be healthy after that rash of injuries at Colorado? Coach Klieman thought they'd all be ready to go, but that was on Monday. He thought they'd know better by Wednesday. So maybe this afternoon when we talk to the coordinators, we'll have a better idea. But they don't have a whole lot of cornerback depth, at least quality, experience depth. And to have Jacob Parrish go down and be questionable for this game is not a good sign.
It's so unusual. Tim Fitzgerald, publisher GoPowerCat.com, joining us. It's so unusual to see flash and flare at a K-State. I think it catches people off guard. But I got to tell you, I love the prime dance in the end zone. I love the selfie with the fan on the bike. I love all of it. I do look for the little things, and I think that matters in putting K-State in the headlines and on the front of highlights and on the videos. I think that matters for the program big picture. How are people taking that flash from a program that, is Bill Snyder, right? It's Chris Klieman. It's like none of that. Like we don't do any, but clearly Avery Johnson does, and it's unusual, but I think it's awesome. How are people taking it?
None of it feels staged. None of it feels
I don't think
forced.
It is at all.
And it's just him. And it's fun. That selfie was hysterical. And how many people, K-State fans, said, what would Coach Snyder do if that happened on his sideline? Well, Coach Snyder wouldn't have made it this long in the NIL era to start with.
And he wouldn't have recruited Avery Johnson either.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have landed him. So, look, he's just a special player. He's a really special young man. And we're seeing him grow and develop. And I think those signs are kind of indications of his growing confidence, that he knows who he is as a player and what he can do. He was pretty darn good at Colorado. But that was also a game where just hang on to DJ Giddens. He's going to pull you across the line. And he did, even in the last drive. I mean, just a huge catch and run out to the 50. But Avery put the ball where it needed to be put on the last two pass plays and got him into the end zone. He's a gamer, and he's only going to get better.
We talked a lot, especially coming into this season, about the offensive line at Kansas State and basically the need to rebuild that offensive line. And I think that while, it probably hasn't been perfect, knowing what Kansas State has been able to do from that perspective in run blocking and even pass blocking on Avery Johnson, taking on a West Virginia team that's got a kid in TJ Jackson who is really good at getting into the backfield. This is going to be a decent test for them, especially, as it relates to protecting Avery Johnson.
Yeah, you're right. I think they're going to really just try to run the ball most of the day. And the question here is Avery available to run the ball? Because of his injury at Colorado, they took that off the table in the game. And people were wondering why he wasn't running. He wasn't. They were trying to protect him because he was dinged up pretty good, I think, with that hip. So will he be back in the game plan to run the ball? If not, it's going to get interesting because they're just going to have to line up and run it with DJ and Dylan Edwards and get the job done. But yeah, when they have to pass, he's got to be mobile. If he's not, he's just going to be under a lot of pressure. And he didn't move around as much in the pocket as I expected him to do at Colorado, but they're going to be after him, and I don't blame him. He's a little bit limited right now, and we'll see what he can put on the field.
That's interesting. We're talking line and DJ Giddens and all these things because they probably do have to run the ball. That bye week to get everybody rested isn't for a while. It's not. They'll play 3 games before they get the extra rest. Looking at the Big 12 as a whole, I'm not surprised that it's competitive. I think it's a little upside down from what we thought, Fitz. But I look at it, and I know I don't think K-State can lose a game. Nothing changes every week that we get another week in, and I think it's even less likely that they can afford to lose another game and play in the Big 12 championship game. They've got a Texas Tech scheduling problem. They've got a BYU problem on a tiebreaker. It just doesn't seem likely to me. That it seems like they got to win out.
Yeah, I agree. What I'm loving about how this is playing out, and we know the Big 12 could underdog could win this weekend.
Yeah.
But the way this is playing out is going to put a lot of pressure on the college football playoff committee. I mean, you're looking at a conference that could end up with 3 teams, 11 or 12 wins. And so one team might be 11-1 and sitting on the sideline, not even playing on championship Saturday. What do you do with them? I mean, they're 11-1. You could end up with 3 one-loss teams out of the Big 12 at the end of the day. And what are they going to do with that? We're going to find out a lot. This is going to test the committee. Are they really committed to just putting SEC teams in this playoff, or are they really committed to putting the best teams in this playoff? Because I think we're learning that college football is evening out. Seeing Alabama retreat a little bit is good for college football. Seeing Ohio State, Michigan, and lose is good for college football. I just pose this question to all of those who think the Big Ten and SEC are superior. How come teams from the Big 12 and Pac-12 walked in and are leading those conferences? How's that possible if those 2 conferences have always been better and much far superior? You add teams from different conferences and they start winning the games. That should be impossible in your fantasy world, but it's not. It's happening. There's not that big a gap between these conferences, and there never was. It's just a lot of marketing.
You know as well as I do, Fitz, that if Georgia loses to Texas this week and they have 2 losses and they're out of the SEC championship game, and BYU goes unbeaten and loses in a Big 12 championship game, and you've got Georgia sitting there with 2 losses and BYU with 1, you know damn good and well who's going to the playoff. I mean, there is no chance they're putting 1-loss BYU in over 2-loss Georgia. I mean, no chance.
No chance. Nobody in the country would be picked over 2-loss Georgia with 1 loss. I really believe that. Maybe if Ohio State didn't get in, but man, they just lean into those brands so much, and you do have to stop and wonder if Georgia's losing to Big 12 teams that, for example, Texas, that hadn't won a Big 12 championship till last year in any significant time period. What's that mean? I mean, look, let's let this play out, but it's going to get very interesting. We're going to find out about the future of college football. If the books are cooked for the SEC and Big Ten this year, we might find out right out of the gate that that's happening, and that will probably be a great controversy and something that Brett Yormark is going to have to really hammer back at, not push back, hammer back at.
Fitz, you're kind of our conference realignment expert here on the program. This news dropped about 2 weeks ago, a little less than 2 weeks ago, of the College Student Football League and sort of that implosion of the FBS, that there are multiple university presidents and athletic directors that are proposing this, and the full rollout came just a couple of weeks ago. Is this a legitimate thing? Is this something that we can think about as potentially happening down the road? I'm guessing that there's a really long and uphill battle to get this to fruition.
Yeah, I think there's now 3 plans on the table. What they have in common is, for the most part, is getting rid of conferences in football, and at least at the upper level, and just have everyone play in a giant conference, and that allows you to kind of reorganize and go back around and have play more regional conferences for the rest of your sports. So there's some real benefits to it. The problem is the Big Ten and SEC, again, just think they're so far superior to everyone. They don't want 70. They just want their 2 conferences, because Purdue is surely better than everyone in the Big 12. I mean, this is just nonsense. What Greg Sankey in particular at the SEC is trying to do is literally destroy college football for profit. And it's gross, and hopefully the rest of college football can push back and say, no, let's be inclusive. I mean, look at what's happening. Vanderbilt just beat Alabama, and you want to exclude teams that you think are lesser? That's not why people watch college football. Right. They watch it for those upsets.
You got to have the Cinderella factor. That's why the NCAA tournament's so successful. I agree. One more on that, kind of in that note, and I can't remember if we've talked about this, but the Pac-12 as it grows, to me, is screaming basketball contract, basketball TV deal. And I think, we've been saying that forever with Brett Yormark. To us, it's pretty clear that's what he's doing. I think that's what the Pac-12 is doing too. which makes me feel good about what Brett Yormark's doing.
I think there's a realization on the athletic department side of this and the conference side that the networks have been stealing college basketball. They just have been underpaying for college basketball, and they've set a number of 10% of your contract is college basketball, and it delivers far more for that. I almost feel like they're trying to break even on football and make all their money on basketball because they have so much more inventory there, and the numbers are so huge for football. But yeah, I think this next time around, we're going to see the Big 12 pursue individual contracts for football and basketball, or football and all other sports probably. And if the Pac-12 is doing that too, this will be probably a college athletic wide movement to get more money out of basketball, because you just look at the NCAA tournament, how valuable that is. Are you telling me that the regular season has no value?
It's never made sense. It's never made sense. I agree. All right, what do we have at GoPowerCat.com that we got to find before the game on Saturday night?
We got our preview of the game. Our podcast is up. It's on video just like this, so you can stare at my face, or you can turn off the video. That's probably better. And just our typical weekly coverage. I mean, we've got the Friday walkthrough coming. We've got a lot of nuts and bolts on the game, a lot of VIP stuff, analysis. I'll have my 5 keys up tomorrow on the site. So we're cooking. It's that time of year where we're just in the heat of the season, and these back-to-back road games are going to be a real challenge for K-State. But I think we can all recognize it's a real challenge for an old fart like me. So I'm going to just put my head down and survive. But I love West Virginia. I love going out there.
Just tired. Great music. Rowdy people. I'm with you on that. All right, Fitz. Be good. We'll talk again next week.
Great to talk to you.
There goes Tim Fitzgerald. Terrifying, Tommy. Terrifying game for me. We've talked about that one quite a bit. When we come back, let's talk about. We haven't really dug into Chiefs Niners, and we'll sort of run out of time. We'll have our previews and our picks tomorrow. But let's get into Chiefs Niners. We're BJ Glasser's on the set. We're all thinking what Austin put out, like Chiefs as underdogs. Come on now. But I do think this is going to be a tough game for them. This is going to be a tough game for them. We'll get into that on the way out. Let's give away some HTO. Some free iced tea, more than 25 flavors to choose from, sweet or unsweet, and some free reign coffee as well, iced or hot. You can get one of each right now by texting the keyword tea to the short code 20357. Each participant, you guys, can enter once per day. Message and data rates apply. Good luck. We'll come back. We'll preview Chiefs Niners next.
A mourning widow sells her husband's car trying to move on, but the checks came back in his name.
How do they expect him to cash this check?
Looking for answers, fact finder Brandon Stitt went to the Department of Revenue. A proposed energy plan that threatens Kansas landowners, meaning some families could lose their homes.
My land is not for sale. Others' land is not for sale. Our lifestyle is not for sale.
12 News took their concerns to Senators Marshall and Moran. When you need answers, turn to the fact finders for help. Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into the jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want. Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily. On your way into work, I want to keep listening to Sports Daily even after you park the car. With the Odyssey app and Odyssey.com, you can. Just download the app or visit Odyssey.com. Search for KFH. Download the Odyssey app today to get started. Welcome back in. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor here. Max Power in for Jad this week. He's got the IHOP hotline for you at 869-1240, which is brought to you by IHOP. And you can celebrate the weekdays with the new IHOP House Faves, all your favorites for just $6 Monday through Friday. Let's dig in a little bit here, Tommy, to Chiefs Niners. I felt like I had such a good read on the last game that the Chiefs played, and it played out exactly that way against the Saints. I don't have yet that kind of read on this one. I'm very confident that the Niners will try to utilize George Kittle a lot in this game. What I'm not quite sure of is how the Chiefs will plan to attack the Niners. Do they go that same route and go 4 tight ends at a time? Do they try and, grow Juju Smith-Schuster's role? Do they try and just feed Kareem Hunt another 27 times? Like I don't think it's as clear this week, and clearly the Niners are better than the Saints. There's no doubt about that. But this one is a little trickier. But then it's the bye week and it's the Chiefs' underdog thing and all of that sits there. But I think this one's a little tougher to handicap.
One guy that you didn't mention in all of that is the rookie Xavier Worthy. He's got an opportunity to have a big game because the Niners are really banged up, and it's not just offensively. They're banged up defensively as well. And the injury report came out yesterday, the opening injury report. Obviously, that can change between now and Sunday. But you've got Charvarius Ward, their cornerback, who is questionable for the game. Like, they've got some issues defensively with injuries as well. And so I think that does open up the opportunity for Xavier Worthy to get a few looks and maybe some pretty good shots from Mahomes in that game. I like what you said about the Chiefs feeding Kareem Hunt. I think that's going to be, a large part of the game plan, especially considering coming off of the bye. It's been, pretty wild. It's been a wild couple of weeks for Kareem Hunt, with probably not a whole lot of opportunities to just sort of like get reacclimated to being part of the organization. But coming off of a bye week, he was able to do that a little bit, you would think. They brought him in and he immediately was, in the game on the road against the Chargers, and then right back at home on Monday Night Football for a quick turnaround against the Saints a couple of weeks ago. So I would imagine that Hunt being able to get that additional rest and get, maybe a little bit more settled in with Kansas City, that lends it, to me thinking that they're going to feed him the ball quite a bit. So I would imagine that those two areas are going to be, a large part of the game plan offensively.
So here's what's interesting with the Chiefs offensively too, outside of Kareem Hunt. Two things that you hit on there. The 49ers defense through the first month of the season was really, really good against tight ends. Really good. And then the last 2 weeks, they have not been particularly good, or at least I should say teams have chosen to attack them with tight ends. The Cardinals and the Seahawks in their last 2 games, the Cardinals targeted tight ends 11 times. The Seahawks targeted them 7. That would probably tell me that the Chiefs are going to utilize the tight ends again in this game, like they did in the first half against New Orleans. Xavier Worthy's interesting. I think Xavier Worthy's interesting for the rest of the season. His role, through the first, he was targeted 3 times against Baltimore. He was only targeted 4 times in the next 3 games. And they have had some of the injuries up to that point. Now, he was targeted 6 against the Saints. I'm real curious to see how much or if they grow his role. Like, are we going to get to a point in this season where we see more than 6 targets for Xavier Worthy? Pre-injuries to this
I don't think
team.
they need to. I don't think they.
So pre-injury, I would have told you no. Like, I don't think by the end of I think that's about his number. My question becomes, though, we know he's a deep shot guy. His targets are more than just deep shots. Like, he's not just a deep shot guy, or you don't take him in the first round. So at what point, and it could happen at any point, do they try to utilize him in some other ways too? Could we see him take on more of a lion's share of those wide receiver targets? And I don't know the answer to that question. I just don't know.
That's not his role, and that's not. And
it wasn't his role coming in. But what I'm saying is, can it be part of his role?
But I don't think that you want to force it. I think that one of the things that, if you look back to even a season ago with Rashee Rice as a rookie, they didn't force it. And I know it was a different situation. There weren't the injuries, like we've encountered this year in the wide receiver room, but they had a clear need at wide receiver, obviously. That was pretty apparent basically from the beginning of the season, moving forward. But they didn't force the ball down Rashee Rice's throat. They let him come along. And then by the time the second half of the season came along, he kind of had established himself as a consistent threat outside of, just a few targets a game. That could happen with Xavier Worthy. I'm not banking on that happening in week 7. If we're talking about it in week 14 or week 15, okay, yeah, at that point, I think that they'll want to try to follow that same sort of model that they did with Rashee Rice. We'll see how successful that can be. It doesn't mean that I don't think Xavier Worthy will be a key part of the offensive game plan this weekend. I certainly think that he will. I'm just not sure that they're going to try to force feed him the ball and have him do something that he's maybe not 100% comfortable with right now.
Rashee Rice last year didn't take on that role for the Chiefs. I mean, you can see when it happened. It happened against the Raiders on November 26th.
Right.
And it's not like they didn't have a need for it last year. They were terrible at the position. They absolutely had a need for it last year. They probably had more of a need for it last year than they have for it this year, if we're being honest.
But remember, they didn't force it to him until later in the season and let him come along.
November 26th. We're nowhere near that. That was like week 12 or 13. So Worthy probably doesn't become that until later in the season, if he ever does.
Right.
So I say that because the initial reaction for people when they saw Rashee Rice go down was, oh, you got to get Worthy. Worthy's the guy. And I'm like, no, I don't think it impacts him much at all. Now, he could come in and command the targets. That'd be awesome if he did. Out of a bye week, that'd be fantastic if he became, because we know what he can do after he catches the ball, but I think it's unlikely. We'll see what they do at receiver. The Ward injury is interesting. To me, you got to start the way you attacked New Orleans, don't you? Like you start with the tight ends, and then you try to pepper Juju with some stuff, and you go to Hunt. I think the game plan is the same. And I think it's important to see if that's a game plan over the next 2 weeks that you can just utilize the rest of the way. Back to our other conversation about the need or non-need of a wide receiver. Like, if they go through the next couple of games and they feel like the offense is looking as good or as effective as it did in this new style with all the tight ends and everything, that's something you need to find out and know now, because that may be just what you do the rest of the way. So my guess is probably they'll at least try to attack San Francisco that way. Maybe they do it in a different order. Maybe they do it, mix and match it. But I'll be pretty surprised if we don't see a bunch of tight ends and at least 7 or 8 targets for Juju this week.
The other thing to keep in mind with this particular game is that depending on the way the injury report shakes out, it may end up being a requirement for Brock Purdy to throw the football a lot to win the game, because Jordan Mason is on the injury report. And, he's the NFL's second leading rusher. And that's in the absence, obviously, of Christian McCaffrey, who we know is not playing. Mason may not play also. And that's a huge blow to what the Niners want to do offensively, because it may force Brock Purdy again to throw the ball more than he's comfortable doing. There are a couple of receivers that have shown up on the injury report this week for the 49ers that were limited in practice yesterday. Deebo Samuel was limited with a wrist injury, and Juwan Jennings showed up on the injury report with a hip injury, and he didn't practice at all yesterday. He didn't leave the game last week with any kind of injury. And so that was kind of a surprise for him to pop up on the did not practice report with a hip injury. So that's worth monitoring as well. It could very easily be a game that, they have what? Purdy and Kittle? Like that's kind of it.
They're going to utilize Kittle anyway. Like Kittle, they're going to attack the Chiefs with the tight end. They
may not have a whole lot of other options but to pepper it to Kittle.
They'll run it because it's Kyle Shanahan. Guerrero, he was good. When he stepped in for Mason last week. I mean, he had a higher draft pedigree than Mason. They'll use him. They're going to run the ball. It's Shanahan. Shanahan always runs the ball. But yeah, you're right. And my guess is they're going to walk into this game with at least Deebo and Ayuk playing. I don't know about Mason, but I think it matters less. And I don't know about Jennings because that is new. But I'll bet you Deebo and Ayuk. They all want to play in it.
I disagree as far as the importance of having Jordan Mason out there. I think that does matter. If
it matters. No. Don't let me rephrase it. Of course it matters. What I'm saying is it's not going to change the game plan for Shanahan. Shanahan will run the ball no matter who he has. He's done that throughout his entire career. He runs the ball. So he'll run it. Is it as effective with Guerrero as Mason? I don't know how you could responsibly say that. Mason's been fantastic.
Keep in mind, too, the way the Chiefs' run defense has been throughout the entire season.
I don't know that that's the factor that I'm looking at anyway, right? Like, I don't know that the Chiefs are going to – now, nobody schemes up the run game better than Kyle Shanahan. Nobody does. So, but it's going to be a Kittle game. It's going to be a Kittle game, and the Chiefs – I'm with Glasser. I really like the under in this game. I just think it's a good play. And I think both teams are very comfortable with that sort of game flow in this game, by the way, just letting it go. But as far as like these Knicks if these Niners can go, they're going to go. They want to beat the Chiefs badly. That's too super. For guys like Deebo and Kittle, I don't think was Ayuk there the first time? Maybe he was a rookie. Like these guys want revenge on the Chiefs. There's no doubt about it. They want revenge on the Chiefs. So I think they'll play, but I like the under. I'm with you guys. I like the Chiefs as far as being the underdog and getting a point. I like the Chiefs almost anytime they can get a point, especially coming out of a bye. But so will the masses. Like everybody on the planet's going to bet the Chiefs in this game. So it does feel a little bit dangerous in that way to me.
It's interesting. The perception, I think, has been, and I even thought this too for a while, the perception has been that with the close games that the Chiefs have played this year, that they haven't done a good job at covering the spread. They have. They're 4-1.
Yeah,
against
they've been good this year.
The only game that they didn't was the Bengals game in week 2 when they only won by a point. But they've covered the spread in every other game. It's been down to the wire in a lot of them. But, remember, this team a year ago was bad at covering the spread. Like that, it got to the point to where you really weren't sure if you wanted to pick them ATS because of just the struggles they had in covering the number. They've done that at a much better clip this year. And this is the first time this season they've gotten points. So they're 4-1 against the spread, and they've been favored in all 5 of those games. So I think it is an opportunity, and probably why, actually, definitely why people are betting the Chiefs a ton.
The Chiefs last year were 13-7-1 against the spread. They last year was sort of when they
playoffs out. Take the playoff run completely out of it, and it probably wasn't. It was probably closer to 500, I would think.
Yeah, you probably. But they were 9-11 the year before that, and just because they've been a bad covering team. They were 500 the year before in 2021. They always had this perception. Now I think it's shifted a little bit on them, and they're built. Teams that play great defense are good to cover and spread. But we got to remember too, Baltimore was a toenail away from a non-cover. Like it's those trends. Those trends to me don't matter as much as what Patrick Mahomes does as an underdog and what Andy Reid does coming out of a bye week. I think if this was a game not coming out of a bye week, I would be far more inclined to like San Francisco in this game. It's the bye week that makes it really tricky for me to look at it as the Niners' opportunity like it normally would. Because if this was out, if the bye week wasn't there and this line was the exact same, I'd be like, hammer the Niners here. But it's not. It's after a bye week. It's after a bye week.
I know, but
as a bet, I'm saying
getting plus money on the money line.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying as a bet because I don't think the Chiefs are going undefeated this year. The law of averages in the NFL tell me that I don't think the Chiefs. So if they're going to lose games this year, this is a spot to lose a game on the road against San Francisco, against a desperate San Francisco, by the way, with a premier player at the position that's given you like all of that would tell me, okay, this is probably one of those spots, but not coming out of the bye. Not coming out of the bye, I can't do it. Andy Reid's too good out of the bye. Look at the schedule. If we don't think they're going undefeated, and I don't think anybody does because teams don't do that in the NFL, like now if you look at it, what are the other spots you think they might lose a game? Maybe at Buffalo, at home against Houston, at Pittsburgh. Like there aren't a lot of spots left. When you go back and you look at their schedule, like that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, but as we all know, any team can beat any team any week in the NFL.
Right.
So there can always be letdown games, and the Chiefs, as a fan for my entire life, I've watched them play down to their competition and lose games that they should have won. They did that on Christmas against the Raiders a year ago. So those things happen, and that was not a game that anybody had penciled in as a potential loss for the Chiefs. So I'm less concerned about that. And where like the most likely places that they could lose any game. Any team can lose any game.
Sure.
In this particular situation, let's take the bye completely out of it. We know how great Andy Reid is, but you even gave a secondary reason. It's Mahomes as an underdog.
Right.
So regardless of a bye or not, Mahomes as an underdog wins games. That's just the way that it is. At a higher clip than anybody else does.
Were they favored? They were favored at home against Baltimore. I'm trying to think. They haven't been underdog.
They've not been an underdog this year.
But nobody in the world thought they'd be 5-0 coming into the bye with Baltimore, Cincinnati, Atlanta, the Chargers, the Saints. Nobody thought they were coming into that 5-0, and they are. And so I'm sitting here thinking, is this a 16-1 team, a 15-2 team? Boy, I don't think so. But I also didn't think they'd get the 5-0 start, and they've been very fortunate to get the 5-0 start. So if I'm looking at this is if we look on their schedule right now, if you looked at the rest of their schedule, what I'm saying is On paper, this is the most difficult game they have left on their schedule. No offense to Buffalo now. We'll see how Amari Cooper fits in. This is the most difficult game on their schedule on paper the rest of the season. That's all I'm saying. Like, if you're looking for that spot, normal circumstances without the bye.
If you look at this team as it's comprised right now, and, you said you don't see them as a 16-1 team or a 15-2 team, but let's say you see them as a 14-3 or, whatever, 13-4.
That seems more likely to me.
Knowing all of that, is that enough to get you a bye in the playoffs? Probably is.
This year it probably is, yeah.
This year it probably is. So that's the way the team is compiled now. I think Brett Veach looks at the same thing, and I think it lends more credibility to them not going to do anything.
I don't disagree with that, by the way. I don't think they need it to get to that point. I think my concern, and this is why I don't think they'll make a splash move. My only concern is the trade deadline passes, and then you have a depth issue get created. Because right now, as I look at the Raw, like, they'd be in trouble without Juju. They would. If Juju isn't close, and he's not going to do what he did last week every week, but if he's not close to that the rest of the way, they're going to need to get a little better. And they got 2 weeks to watch him play, so they can evaluate it. And it's not, there's no rush to do anything. My concern is you got to set yourself up to win a Super Bowl. And I just hate, with everything that's already happened, to get caught with your pants down a little bit if there's another injury to that room and you're stuck with picking up scrap heap. If you're stuck with practice squad guys, they can do it. I mean, we know they can, they have, but I don't think it's totally necessary. Yeah. And so, if DeMarcus Robinson becomes available, I'd be all over it.
My prediction, I don't like this prediction at all, but my prediction is the trade deadline comes and goes. The Chiefs don't make a move. And then if there is an injury and if there is a depth issue and you're in November or December, there are a couple guys out there, one of whom played for the Chiefs last season, that will still be available. I don't want him. I want to be very clear about that. But nobody's going to sign Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He will be there. So will Mike Williams. I don't want Mike Williams either. He will.
Mike Williams think another team. I think Mike Williams.
I mean, teams have looked at what he did this season, and he basically single-handedly cost the Jets like 2 games.
Yeah.
So there will be guys, if there's a depth issue, Veach will go to the trash heap and pull somebody out of there to fill a spot down on the depth chart just to get them through. That's what I think will happen. I just don't see them giving up any kind of money or picks or whatever to get anybody by the trade.
I'd be okay with Mike Williams, by the way, if they went and did that right now. I'd be okay with it.
I don't think I would.
I would put it at 50-50. And that's not a cop-out. I genuinely think that's where it is right now, that they go make a trade before the deadline. Again, I think they should.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I can't say it's likely, but I think it's still very possible. And the market will dictate that. We know that. Like, who loses in the next 2 weeks, who becomes available on the market. Maybe there's a player where you're like, that's not available today, but in 2 weeks, you're like, I'd love to have that guy. I mean, that's all got to play itself out too. It's fascinating. Man, I cannot wait for this game on Sunday. What a slate on Sunday. Goodness gracious. 869-1240, the IHOP hotline open for you the rest of the way. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. Couple headlines. We've got a quarterback change in Pittsburgh, which is pretty fascinating. I don't know if you saw the cold-blooded WNBA final shot last night from Sabrina Ionescu. It is sort of simmered without Caitlin Clark still alive, but man, that was just an unreal shot. But a couple other news and notes that we can get to here as we wrap up this Thursday on Sports Daily.
A mourning widow sells her husband's car trying to move on, but the checks came back in his name.
How do they expect him to cash this check?
Looking for answers, fact finder Brandon Stitt went to the Department of Revenue. A proposed energy plan that threatens Kansas landowners, meaning some families could lose their homes.
My land is not for sale. Others' land is not for sale. Our lifestyle is not for sale.
12 News took their concerns to Senators Marshall and Moran. When you need answers, turn to the fact finders for help. Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door, or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
Rick says that they play to win when talking about the Chiefs, not to cover the spread. We understand that, Rick. We're talking about them against the spread, not in their wins. All right, Tommy, the Steelers, we got a quick segment here. Steelers make the move to Russell Wilson. Justin Fields says today he doesn't think he played good enough. I think that's a pretty responsible answer. You think the Steelers are doing the right thing here?
No, I don't. I don't think that from what we've seen from the last couple of years from Russell Wilson that he will do anything for them. They need to solely invest in the development of Justin Fields. There's enough of an upside and a runway with Fields that it's not worth it to go to Russell Wilson.
That guy, I watched him closely in that game against the Cowboys. He didn't look good. I guess I think it's the wrong decision too, but I don't think it's that wrong because I don't mind Tomlin seeing what Wilson could do within the offense. I think he'll be in some ways a better passer. And historically, he's been one of the best deep ball passers in the history of the league. I mean, he is. And if that's what you're banking on with Fields and then his legs, I don't mind seeing it. I would bet you though that by the end of this season, when the Steelers are probably playing in the playoffs, Justin Fields will be their starting quarterback. But you want to take a look at Russ? That's why they brought him in there. It's okay. It's okay to me. Let's see if he can get more out of George Pickens. I mean, that you can look at it that way. Can he better help create opportunities for your star players, I suppose. But I think by the end of the day, it'll be Fields that's the starting quarterback for the Steelers. That's been fascinating situation, man. The Steelers just, God, if you just figure out quarterback, Steelers. My goodness, figure it out.
Well, I mean, that's been the narrative ever since Ben Roethlisberger retired.
It's been the narrative even
out quarterback for years.
But they're so dang good everywhere else. Even when Roethlisberger was a corpse out there trying to play quarterback for those last couple of years, right? Like God, just how could every player in the league, if you were a free agent quarterback, that'd be like the first call I make if you want a chance to win a Super Bowl, because they feel like they're so close and then they just get nothing out of that position. All right, we'll come back. We'll tell you what's on the network tonight. We wrap up Sports Daily right after this.
A mourning widow sells her husband's car trying to move on, but the checks came back in his name.
How do they expect him to cash this check?
Looking for answers, fact finder Brandon Stitt went to the Department of Revenue. A proposed energy plan that threatens Kansas landowners, meaning some families could lose their homes.
My land is not for sale. Others' land is not for sale. Our lifestyle is not for sale.
12 News took their concerns to Senators Marshall and Moran. When you need answers, turn to the fact finders for help. Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just
right
search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want. Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
All right, you can listen to the Broncos and the Saints game tonight on Westwood One. That's at 6:30. Probably a better option as you can be taking it in while doing something else. Don't pain your eyes with that disaster of a game. Who knows? It'll probably be a shootout and wildly entertaining.
Baseball playoffs, right? Like that you can watch that on TV tonight. So that's probably what I'll do instead of
listen to the football game right here on KFH. We appreciate Max. He'll be back with us one more time tomorrow. Don't forget, also tomorrow we'll make some football picks. TJ Cleveland, Brandon Zinner, Paul Savage in. We'll have that for you. Looking forward to it. Always fun on a Friday. For Tommy and Max, I'm Jacob. We'll see you then.